I have a very unique Father's Day tradition. For the past few years, I've celebrated Father's Day by posting a picture of my dad doing Gangnam Style in front of the life-size Gundam in Odaiba, partly because it has such strong dad joke energy. He was somewhat serious that he couldn't tell the difference between Gangnam and Gundam. The other reason is, well, you know what they say.
I got it from my daddy.
It's how I wish him a happy Father's Day. However, this year is a little bit different. I wanted to write a tribute to both my dad and to a particular 2020 anime series I can't stop talking about, one I'd like more of you to watch. You see, 2020's anime adaptation of Kakushigoto is the ultimate Father's Day viewing. Kakushigoto focuses on an aloof little girl and a neurotic but loving single dad who would do anything for his daughter. But the dad has a secret. He draws raunchy comedy manga for a living, think Gintama, or hentai kamen. If people knew who her father was, he's afraid that she could be bullied, grow up disrespectful of her dad, or grow up insecure. To avoid the situation, he maintains the masquerade of being a normal Tokyo salaryman while secretly being a mangaka. If it sounds like a premise bound for wacky hijinks, it totally is. Kakushigoto is, after all, the brainchild of Kumeta Koji, the author of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. A lot of this series' comic delivery is similar, and it's a clear spiritual successor to Zetsubo Sensei by its deliberate callbacks to character names, character designs, and so forth. The anime takes it a step further by bringing back several voice talents, most notably Kamiya Hiroshi. Though do note that it's not a Studio Shaft production. However, Kakushigoto is more than a wacky high-concept comedy. It's a story about growing up and parental love that'll make you burst out in laughter at times and quietly break your heart at others. For Father's Day, I really can't think of a better and more appropriate show to watch. It's also why I'm so eager to talk about the show above any other spring 2020 shows I adore, like Sing Yesterday for Me and B&A. Without further ado, let me begin. Kakushigoto's title tells you a lot about what kind of series it is. Essentially, the name is a triple entendre. First, there's Kakushigoto, like hiding something or keeping a secret. Then there's Kakushigoto, drawing for a living. Finally, there's Kakushigoto, or Goto Kakushi, the main character. Expect tons and tons of Japanese puns and rapid-fire humor, just like any other manga from the same author like Zetsubo Sensei or Joshinake. Our two main characters are Goto Sensei and Hime. Now, Goto Sensei is like a very light version of Zetsubo Sensei. They're both jaded adult types voiced by Kamiya Hiroshi. Goto Sensei is none of Zetsubo Sensei's, darker tendencies per se, but I will say that the way that he talks about his mangaka lifestyle and about the industry is very, very close to the way Zetsubo Sensei rants and tirades on and on about everyday problems. And when he brings his family issues into the office, things are bound to get a little bit crazy. He's also a loving and thoughtful dad. He always goes the extra mile for his daughter and shelters her from any trouble. It's this kindness that really defines him as a character. Hime is a cute and imaginative 10-year-old girl. She's curious about things and loves playing and helping around the house. She's also notably defined by her sensitivity. She's worried about people and the things around her, including her dad. I also want to highlight that she's not a stock lolly character stereotype, thank God. Together, the way these two interact brings grounded emotional realism to an otherwise screwball comedy. In fact, I would say the show oozes with love, particularly familial love. For example, take a look at what the average scene of them in the house looks like. Look at the way they pose. It's not kawaii anime daughter wish fulfillment. It's lazy and relaxed, giving these moments identifiable physical realism. Also, for a show that sounds so high concept, Goto Sensei and Hime's interactions are everyday household topics. Things like buying snacks, talking about interesting things in school, or making plans for the weekend. While I don't want to spoil terribly much about the show, I'd like to bring up a few scenes that make the show hit very hard. The dog episode that happens mid-season is wonderful, and a really identifiable one for anyone who's ever begged their parents for a pet. My dad still hasn't brought home a dog, by the way. Goto Sensei is thinking about the commitment a dog means, and after talking to his manga assistants and Hime's teacher, he promises Hime that they can get a dog. You can really see how into it Hime gets. However, mid-episode, Goto-sensei finds himself in a really hard position and has to disappoint Hime. He's not bringing home a dog. Hime gives him a surprisingly jaded and pessimistic reply back. Their house of two can't take care of a dog without a housewife. It's an opinion she's parroting from two gossiping neighborhood housewives. It's this reply that breaks Goto-sensei's heart, and ours too. How can a little kid accept disappointment as normal? How can she so easily accept that their house of two isn't as good as a traditional two-parent household? Well, thanks to a bit of luck, the story ends on a heartwarming note when he does bring home a golden retriever pup. It's this mix of bittersweet, haha funny, and heartwarming that makes Kakushigoto so strong. You won't find this mix in any other Kumita Koji series, sitcom, or slice of life manga. Also, I want to point out that the golden retriever story has real weight with almost any family. Has your parent ever gone back on a promise? Have you ever felt that your family wasn't normal? And if you were the parent, how would you break bad news? Would you go out of your way to make everything right? Or would you have a heart-to-heart talk together that things don't always go the way that you want? Goto-sensei is a sort of super dad, literally referred to in series once as a Clark Kent. While I'm very hesitant to call my dad a Superman, well, maybe he is. And maybe your mom or your dad is too. There's also one more story I want to point out. In one episode, Hime brings her friends to her house. However, the house is incredibly small compared to the big condos and apartment buildings in Tokyo, so her friends think she's poor, and she believes them. Hime turns into a penny pincher, and while talking to a kid about income is hard, it has ramifications on Goto-sensei's home and work life that take a really goofy and comedic turn. What I love about this, though, is that there's a twist. The house is built on extremely expensive Tokyo real estate, and built to deliberately resemble their old Kanagawa beach house from when Hime was a small child and her mother was still around. The child Hime is unaware of this, and in the show's flash forwards to an older version of Hime, she begins to realize not just how much he loved her, but also how much work he put into taking care of her as best as he could. As I get older, and also think about providing for myself, it's also incredible and humbling to think about what my dad has provided for me. I don't know if I could ever do what he's done for me, or do the same for someone else. That's why I respect him, and owe him this video for Father's Day, or any other day of the year to be honest. One last theme I need to touch upon is loss and nostalgia. The show's flash-forward scenes strongly imply that Goto-sensei is no longer with Hime. It makes the funny moments from the show's main slice-of-life antics have weight, but I want to emphasize that it doesn't mean the show is grimdark. In fact, it's because of this that I also want to pay special attention to the show's ED, Kimi wa Tenenshoku by Eiichi Otaki, as I think it reflects the show's atmosphere, worldview, and themes of both loss and nostalgia so brilliantly. It's the only 2020 anime so far that takes the deliberate artistic risk of using a 1980s city pop song over a J-pop single or a character song. There's a very simple and obvious reason why. It's a dad song, and one with a very colorful history. You probably have a song that makes you think of your parents. For me, Michael Jackson, Hall & Oates, Jose Feliciano, and Earth, Wind & Fire are choices I strongly associate with my dad. Kimi wa Tenenshoku's 80s pop vibe is meant to bring out this feeling. It's a song choice meant to be befitting of a dad, and also, Kumita-sensei's artwork for the series has also drawn the connection between the manga and city pop. So if you pick up any of the volumes of the manga, or look at any of the color pages from the manga, it's very deliberately meant to evoke city pop album covers by Suzuki Eijin, Nagai Hiroshi, and Watase Seizo. And the ED's animation oozes with rich colors and shading that replicate the style with such gusto and love. The song itself is an absolute bop, with a bouncy feel-good hook, but its lyrics are a bit sad, especially due to the song's context. According to its composer, Matsumoto Takashi, he wrote the song after his sister passed away from illness. He felt that the whole world had gone monochrome, but months later, the happy memories of his sister brought color back to his world. Both of these points color, and monochrome are huge motifs of the song, and the song itself is a nostalgic ode for someone you miss, themes that are so integral to Kakushigoto. The ED is such an emotional high note that every time I finish an episode, I finish it in good spirits and smiling. It's a loving celebration of Goto-sensei, Kumeta-sensei's art, and parental love itself. The series has recently wrapped up, and I can say that while it's not a perfect ending, and the show has its flaws, I can wholeheartedly recommend this show. Its biggest flaw is that it doesn't explore its secondary cast enough, but it's a problem only caused by the limited number of episodes in the anime compared to its more expansive manga source material. I definitely encourage giving it a read as well. Make this anime the Father's Day treat you, and maybe your father, if he's a big weeb, deserve. Or at least use this anime as a good chance to think about your relationship with your family. Thank you all. That's it for today. So, essentially, I strapped myself to write and cut this together within 72 hours on top of my full-time job. If any of my family is watching this, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all a happy Father's Day. To my dad specifically, I could not have produced this video without you. I've become a competent, mostly bilingual professional, thanks to your support. Also, I thank you for never shooting down my love of film production and anime, which have led to this video. Also, there's a very straightforward reason I've never done this for Mother's Day. Anime or manga about moms often leans towards fetish fiction, and that's not my cup of tea, or my mom's. There's also a lot I would have loved to improve, especially microphone quality. I'm so sorry I don't own a proper mic. Anyways, think about this as a test to see if anyone's interested in content I produce for YouTube. I don't foresee myself being an anituber, simply because I'm not interested in it, but I do want to dabble in anime from time to time. Once again, thank you all, and peace out. I hope to do this again sometime.